The Zapatista Army of National Liberation, often referred to as the Zapatistas, is a libertarian, socialist, political and militant group that controls a substantial amount of territory in Chiapas. Since 1994, the group has been nominally at war with the Mexican state, although it may be described at this point as a frozen conflict. This movement arose because of the marginalization of indigenous people in Chiapas and because of this discrimination in the Mexican nation. It came to light in the Mexican state of Chiapas on 1994 when a group of armed indigenous people tried to occupy 7 municipal seats during the government of Salinas de Gortari, questioning the Mexican political system on its premises of modernity. Their goal was to overthrow of the elected president and the establishment of a participatory democracy. The objective is, according to the Declaration of La Selva Lacandona, the fulfillment of basic demands of the people by forming a free and democratic government. In response, the federal government sent the army to quell the rebellion. After days of fighting, the dialogue tables of San Andres Lariaizar were established. However, the government did not respect the reform. From the beginning of the dialogues, the positions of the parties were manifested, showing their convergences and disagreements, beginning with the Ezln interest in guaranteeing the dialogue national rank and that of the federal government in reducing it to a local matter in Chiapas. The conversation between the Ezln and the federal government ended with the signing of the San Andres Agreements on Indigenous Law and Culture, which committed to the state to constitutionally recognize indigenous people and that they enjoy their autonomy. Shortly, la Comisión de Concordia y Pacificación, COCOPA, was created, which helped during the process of the dialogue. Shortly after they were signed, the San Andres Accords were unknown to President Ernesto Zedillo. La COCOPA, which was entrusted to draft a constitutional reform proposal that would include the main consensuses established in the San Andres Accords, presented its initiative to the parties in November 1996. The Ezln accepted the proposals. The president, although he initially accepted it, he modified them for the peace process to be paused. In 2001, hundreds of militiamen and some commanders toured various states of the country as part of a march to demand that the San Andres Accords be included in the Constitution. It is a pact negotiated between the federal government and the Ezln command, where the complete autonomy of the native people is recognized. Zapatista commanders spoke in the gallery of the Chambers of Deputies to demand that the commitment would be fulfilled, but the Senate of the Republic approved a law that did not contain everything negotiated in 1996. In 2003, the Ezln said that they were betrayed, and since then, they have remained in its territory in a part of the Los Altos and Lacandona jungle regions of Chiapas. Today, 27 years after the movement, the government of President López Obrador has offered to include in the Constitution the points signed in the San Andres Accords that were pending in 2001. Another pending issue is to guarantee access to justice for indigenous people, as well as the constitutional recognition of their own government systems. Including these rights in the Constitution can be a good opportunity for the state to amend the problem. However, the Ezln remains skeptical and has even said that it will not establish any relationship with the new authorities. It is very likely that the Ezln maintain its own social and community organization within its territories. Until now, it's not clear how López Obrador government could have a rapprochement with the Zapatistas. Some believe that a rapprochement should be sought, while for others the best way is for Zapatismo to join politics and openly participate in elections. But even if all this was done, still, the Mexican state lacks the skills for a successful intercultural dialogue to take place within the creation of a real climate of equality and equity in a main approach with the indigenous people in Mexico and so many other groups like minorities that have to be acknowledged. Unfortunately, Mexico still ignores all these type of problems, including massive disparitions like the Ayotzinapa case, feminicides, narco war, the continuous fighting with the LGBT group, that the country doesn't understand their cause, etc. Now, with everything we've analyzed in this video, we have three main actors: the government, the indigenous people, and some organization. First, the government, which marginalized the indigenous groups. Then we have the indigenous groups who didn't want to live like this anymore and who protested and tried to make something out of this. And then the organizations. International community tried to make everyone notice this. And these are the three main actors that participated in this conflict. And finally, we can conclude that the new relationship between the Mexican state and indigenous people must be based on respect for difference, include minorities into majorities, on the recognition of indigenous identities as intrinsic components of our nationality, and on the acceptance of their particularities as basic elements inherent to our legal order. The importance of recognition of equality and equity and respecting their identity, based on the multiculturalism and pluralism where there is a world filled with different groups and participation of these, and where everyone is welcome in coexistence.